Hi there, and welcome to this video I'm going to do on pitching. Now, when you watch the guys on the telly and the girls on the telly, you see them hit a pitch shot. You don't really see the ball fly or what preparation goes into making the choice for how they're going to pitch the ball. So when you pitch the ball, you can hit it high, you can hit it low, you can hit it with spin. We can get it to do lots of different things. So what we're going to go through first of all today is we're going to go through the setup position, and then we've got the core board here to help explain this, and then I'm going to go through how I change the technique to hit the different spins as well. Once we've gone through these, what we'll do is we'll go out onto the course and explain where you hit the different pitches from. So you don't just walk up and say, I'm going to pitch this one onto the green. Sometimes the lie might dictate that you have to hit the ball in a certain way. And then that changes how the ball flies, and that changes how it lands and releases once onto the green. And other times the pin might decide, hey, we want to land the ball softer with a bit more spin, or we need to chase it up the green. And then by understanding this, the core board for where you are to hit the different shots, you can then have much more control of your pitching and have much more success when you pitch in. So let's go through this core board first of all. So the core board, we've got these three pegs. We've got the red, the green and the blue. So the blue one is for the ball position, and you can see this line here which they're all on, this is going to be the center of my stance the whole time. So that'll be the ball position. This green one is where my course and my middle will be at address, and that's important. And then also the very important one is where my core will be at impact. So the relationship of this is how actually you, no matter what standard you are, can control the ball flight very, very easy when you pitch. So we're going to go through this first of all. So let's pop this down on the ground and let's grab a ball up. So when I pitch, I like to see the ball just left of centre. So if I was going to address this for a pitch shot, let me move the board. Okay, so I'm here. This is where I would pretty much stand for a pitch shot. So the ball is definitely +1. So it's just left of centre. This is for a standard pitch. If I was going to hit a standard pitch, if I wanted to spin it or just hit a normal one in there, this is where I would have the ball. I'd only move it if I'm going to hit higher or lower, really. So that's where the ball position is. My core, what I do is I preset my core forwards. Now, the reason why you do this is that in the golf swing, you have time to move your weight all the way back and then really drive through. Pitching, chipping, bunkers, a bit more finesse involved, and you want to control it rather than belt it. So what I like to say is, okay, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to preset my perfect impact position. Okay, so let's say that again. I'm going to preset my perfect impact position. So that means I'm saying, okay, at impact, I would like to be roughly about here. So this is where I'm going to start off. So as you can see, my core, so my chest, is pretty much, let's get this green one out, about +1 as well. So that's there. So my core is now level with the ball. Okay, so this is where we're going to start from. And as I swing, I'm going to maintain it here. Now what I might do on this sort of pitch shot is actually move even further through. So what I'm going to do, let's just move the red one. Okay, there. So we say I'm not starting off from here, I'm starting off forwards, because this enables me to either maintain that, or if I want to crunch it a bit more, just to get through. So let's have a go. So what I do is I come in, this is middle of my heels, remember, set up, and what you should do, you should almost sort of move yourself into position and then take your grip. If we come to here and then move over, you can see the club face is now pointing over to the right, which is why a lot of golfers do miss out to the right. So square this up, so I come in, preset everything over, so I'm now leaning into this position here. When I go back, I like to keep over the ball, so I don't like to see golfers move off, and then from here, I'm just going to strike the ball forwards. I'm certainly not trying to lift the ball up when I pitch. Okay, the idea of a pitch shot is you strike the ball forwards, the loft of the club will hit it up into the air, and by striking the ball forwards, that's how you generate spin. Spin doesn't come because you lob it up, it comes because we're striking the ball, we're making a good contact. So I could hit a ball into a green quite low and still see the ball spin and check. So I come from here, set myself over, as you can see. When I do the backswing, I'm going to go back, I'm going to strike the ball forwards. So let's just hit this one. So we go back, so through, So there we go, I've hit it, it's landed and checked up on the second bounce. So it goes in, hits the ground, then checks and stops. And that's for a standard chip. Okay, so let's say that either the lie dictates it or the decision, bit of wind or whatever says I want to hit a lower one. Okay, so too many golfers think to get backspin you move it back in your stance. It's not how it works. Let's look at this club. So first of all, your core at address would pretty much be +1 for every single shot. Okay, so this green one here, this doesn't move. Your hands are in the same relationship to you the whole time. So whether I was going to hit a lower one or a higher one, my hands don't move. So what does move is, in theory, we alter the loft of the club. So that's where I'll be for a standard one. Now if I was going to hit a lower one, what happens is the ball goes back in my stance. So as you can see, we've de-lofted the club. Okay, so we've de-lofted the club because my hands have remained in the same position to me. If I was going to hit a higher, softer one, we actually have opened the loft of the club. So my position, so if I pop that to the side of me here, so my position is here, whether I'm hitting a standard, a lower one or a higher pitch shot, my address position doesn't change in relation of the hands to my body. What does alter is the ball. So let's say I wanted to hit a low one, either we're in a hole and I've got to dig down and into it, or we want to get it to go through the wind. I move this one back. So probably, let's have a look and see what +4. So -4 looks like. So I've got the board here. So again, so let's go from here. So if I set myself up to there, keep my hands here, and I'll move the club head back. So as you can see, that ball's too far away. So as you can see, again, I come from here, I'll move it back. So as you can see now, I take the grip, and if I lift up the club, you can see we've manufactured the loft at address. Yes, I do change my swing, and I'll come to that part in a moment, but again, I'm presetting a position that I want to strike the ball forwards and keep the ball down on. Okay, so the two reasons I say you would pick this shot is A, there's wind and you want to get it low. There's probably 3 reasons actually. There's a bit of wind, I want to land it and then chase it up the green, so I need a bit of forward momentum afterwards, or we're in a hole where we've got a tough behind, I need to come down steeper. So that's the choices for taking this one. So again, get comfortable, move my core over, keep my hands here, I'm going to move the club head back. So you can see it. Then I'll take my address position. So if we were to take this image here and take the standard one, my hands and my body would be in the same position. It's only the angle of the club that's changed. And again, when I go back, this is where you'll go wrong. You'll tend to move back. Again, you've got to stay here. We're over here. Yes, you're going to come down much steeper, okay? Yes, this will go a bit further and come out faster because we've de-lofted the club. They're just things you need to understand. So come from here. I'm leaning over, I've got this position, I take it, now watch this, I hit the ball, and that is about 1/2 to 1/3 of the height of the previous one, but it's gone the same distance. And because I strike it on a good green, that ball, believe it or not, will still check and stop if I wanted it to. Okay, so there's a reason why we're hitting that one. Yes, it looks quite fancy because you can hit it in low and you can get the ball to spin and that, but to strike it from here is definitely harder than striking it from there. Okay, so that's the first two. Now let's say for some reason we want the ball to land softer on the green. Okay, so this time again I'm here and we move that forwards. So this time let's move the peg, there we go, let's go +4. So we've got it at +4 this time. So I stay in the same position, my hands are in the same position, but the club head is here. Let me get this right, it's probably a bit too far forwards. So it's probably going to be more like that one. Let's move that. That looks better. Okay, so it's opposite about +3. So you can see this time my hands are in the same relationship to me, but they're not ahead of the club. So everyone says for all the shots you need to have your hands ahead. No, they don't. They need to be ahead of the centre of your stance. They need to be at least level with your core, because we're still trying to drive forwards. Okay, so if we end up back here, so my core comes back, the red one is there, I'm going to hit the ground first. The reason why you move it back is because too many of you see a pitch shot as going straight up into the air. It's about going forwards. This one will fly higher for 2 reasons. A, we've added loft, and B, the aim of attack is shallower, but I'm not striking down and into it as much because it's now ahead of my core. Okay, so that's the two reasons it's going to fly higher. So we set it up to here. Again, I take the grip. So as you can see, the club face is manipulated slightly, but the leading edge always points at the target. So I come to here, I'm leaning over, I've got my weight over. Watch this one. Okay, so that one there has gone super high and gone nowhere near as far as the other two as well with the same length swing. So by understanding this position here, you start off from here. Okay, you're always in this position for a pitch shot. You move the club head back, not your hands. Don't want to see this, because now you've altered everything. You're just hitting a standard chip from an awkward position because your core's too far forwards. You'll end up moving back. The ball will go as high as a normal one. So you come into here, move the club head back, keep the leading edge square. Don't let it open. That's no good. You keep it square. You take your grip. Okay. As we go back, we keep in this position here. We drive forwards. For the other one, you set it up there. I'm still in this same position and I'm going to strike the ball. So the angle of attack for the forward one is shallower than a standard chip, and the one further back is steeper than the standard chip. Sorry, the standard pitch. So you have to, sometimes the lie might dictate, oh, I want to be shallow here. So you move it forwards. The ball's going to fly higher, won't fly as far, either hit it a bit harder or change club. One coming back, the ball's going to fly a bit lower, it's going to come out a bit faster, we'll probably go a bit further, hit it softer or go with more loft. So this is what tour pros think about when they address the ball. They either decide the conditions, i.e. wind or something else like that moves the ball, the lie moves the ball, or what they want it to do on the green moves the ball. In other words, they want it to land softly. They want it to go past the pin and spin and come back. They want it to land and check and release. They move all this. You just don't see that at the time. Okay, so all these positions, because if you look at this position here, one time they might be there, one time they might be there. If the camera on the telly isn't quite a square on, you don't get to see that, and normally it's from behind anyhow. So that's how we address the different address positions to create the different pitch shots. What we're going to do now, we're going to film from behind and we're going to talk about how I manipulate the club face to create different angles whilst I'm pitching to help me generate these different shots as well. Okay, so let's look at how I change the club head to hit all the different pitch shots. So I've got the board down here still. I'm going to set myself up for a standard chip. So again, we get into the position and I'll set myself up. Now, when I go back, what I like to do, I rotate, but as I go back, I hood the club. So what this does, this keeps the club face close to the target. If I was just to bring that down and not change anything, as you can see how square the club face is? That hasn't moved. If I did my normal golf swing movement and I've opened it, so that's where we perhaps would be for a normal swing, when I come down, if I don't change it, the club face points out to the right, which is why a lot of you, when you pitch, you lose the ball out to the right, because you've done your normal takeaway. I like to set it up to here so we're hooded. From here, all I've got to do is hold that angle and rotate. So as I rotate, see the angle here? And that's how I can generate quite a lot of backspin. I get a lot of spin on the ball when I pitch because the club face isn't moving around too much. I preset the angle here, I rotate my hips out of the way, I strike the ball, and I've got a nice square club face. So the less movement club face you can do, the more just rotation with your body, the more accurate you're going to pitch the ball. So for this one here, I set myself up, I take the grip, and as I go back, as you can see, again, I've done that position. I'm not here, I'm in there, and I've just turned, and I'm going to rotate out of the way. So let's have a go. So watch this, go back, and we've hit it, and there you go, it's gone fairly straight. Let's have another go at that one, bit low really. So let's try that one again, come into here, so watch this, back, pitched it, and again, dead straight. So both of those would land and they would spin. So let's have a look at what happens on the lower one. So let's move the blue peg back again. Let's get myself set up. So now what happens here is that the ball's further back. So you have to remember the golf swing works on an arc. So as it's further back, you might have a tendency to pull it a little bit more behind you. So if it goes more behind you, not only will it come in at a different angle, but it alters the the side spin or the tilt of the ball. So it's very easy to get a little bit of draw on this shot. So if I was hitting a low one into a green, I would probably play it with a little bit of draw as well, because it makes the shot easier. So what I do is I set myself up into this position. I go back, and as you can see, I've still kept the same angle. Now when I strike the ball, this time I allow my hands to roll over a tiny bit. Two things, as I said, it's going to give you a little bit of draw, but the other thing is it helps to keep the ball down. So to hit this one low with cuts an awful lot harder. You take a bit more turf, you can get a bit of sling on it. So to play it with the draw is the easy bit. So come into here, I've set myself up, so watch this, we go back, we go through, and as you can see, the ball's drawing. I'll show you what it looks like in a moment. So that stayed really low, but it had a little bit of draw movement on there. And I would aim that over a bunker, because once it lands, unless I change something, add impact to make it run more, that would still spin and check. But you've got to remember, you're not playing it because you choose to play it, because you'd play the standard one. You're playing it because the lie dictates it, or the conditions dictate it, or you want to perhaps run it up a green. That's the reason why you're hitting that shot. Okay, same as this next one. Let's move the ball forwards again. So I'll move that peg there. You know, and don't forget, you can get one of these boards. These boards are excellent for golf. Just go onto my website, stuartsmithgolfacademy.com, and we've got them on there. So this time I'm going to set myself up, so we've got the forward one. So this time here, as I go back, I now don't hood the club face. Why don't I hood the club face? Well, because the whole point of this shot is that we want to get a bit more elevation, want it to land it softer. So as I go back this time, this is where I would do my normal takeaway. So I'm actually changing how I take the club away to go back where I hold the club face hooded and strike. This one here, as I go back, I'm going to allow the club face to open a tiny bit. So depending on the shot, this one here, because the club face is open, I might sometimes open up my stance a bit, because we might have a little bit of fade on the ball. Not all the time, but certainly we would. So I'm just going to open myself up a tiny bit here, set myself up to this position here, and then when I hit this one, so as you can see, that's gone really high and landed. It doesn't go as far, but it lands very soft. So if you've got that pitch shot just over a bunker and you've got a decent lie, you can play it like this. So at no time am I scooping the ball up. Okay, you have to remember, at no time am I scooping the ball up. I'm striking into the ball. This one here, I'm striking quite down and into it when it's back in my stance. The middle one, I'm striking the ball forwards, but it's going to be hitting on the down tiny path. The ones forward in my stance, I'm still striking the ball forwards. It's just got a shallower path, and therefore you're hitting a different part of the ball with more loft, and that is what changes the flight. Okay, what you're going to see now, I'm going to hit a shot doing each one, and we'll put the ball tracker on so you can see how the flight changes.